G'day there guys, supplementing my diet with another can of Pepsi, back at it again with another episode of r/AmITheA. Now with that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chug a prawn on the Barbie, and enjoy the bloody good content. Posted by user Kurr0421, titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my overweight friend ride my horse? For the background, I have two horses, both are older, mid to late 20s, but one is very old, nearing 30. Small, just above pony size and just under 1,000 pounds, and has some back and hip issues. She's still in great shape for her age, is very muscular, and still enjoys riding. We trail ride up the mountains near our barn, usually 1.5 to 2 hours a ride, and they can be difficult and steep, but she does great with me. I am taller, but weigh around 115 pounds. When I bring my friends riding, they ride the smaller, older horse, and I ride the younger one. This is because the younger horse is very sensitive and not beginner-friendly, whereas the older one is not sensitive and great for all levels of riding. Because of aforementioned issues, I am selective about who I let her ride, as it's difficult for her to not carry too much weight, especially up the steep hills, and for an extended period of time. I have a friend who is well over 200 pounds, does not know anything about horses, and asked to ride with me. I said no and was honest about why, but still offered for her to come groom them and spend time with them on the grounds. She went straight to the body-shaming tactic. I was skinny, so I don't understand. The horse is fine if she's always galloping around with me. Bigger people deserve to ride too. She's shorter than me, so it evens out. I'm gatekeeping horses, etc. I just told her my horse was an animal with limitations, not a machine, and that I'm not going to sacrifice her welfare to spare her feelings. She was furious, and we haven't spoken since. Who all are not also into horses think one ride would be fine, and I'm being an a-hole about her weight. I strongly disagree. I even agreed with her that bigger people can ride, they just need a horse suitable for their size, and my horse is not that. So, am I the a-hole? Edit, thanks for the responses guys. This happened a few months ago, but it does get brought up from time to time still, so I was curious to see what this sub would think. I understand a similar story was posted not that long ago. That was not me. I just joined Reddit this week, and I'm sorry for the redundancy, but I didn't see that post beforehand. Edit 2. I love sharing my horses with my friends, and wish I had a bigger, younger horse, so I could take everyone riding. I have many friends who have never ridden before because of weight. Some are in great shape and still too big for her. Some are overweight and too big for her. Those friends have enjoyed coming to visit and loving them on the ground, and that invitation was extended to this friend as well. She's not too big to ride in general, she would just need a horse suitable for her, and unfortunately, neither of mine fit the bill. Her size and other issues unfortunately severely limits who I can take riding. NTA. The animal's welfare comes before someone's feelings. It's a crappy situation you found yourself in, but you did the right thing. There was no nice way of telling her no. What more can you do? That's exactly how I felt, and how my other friends who were involved in horses felt. I was nice about it. It's not like I straight up told her, no, you're too fat. She also didn't understand why she couldn't ride the other horse. He's actually usually very good, but there are beasts, bobcats, and plenty of deer where we ride. The deer sometimes spook him, and he could easily unseat a beginner rider. I wouldn't trust him with a beginner in a situation where we encountered some of the more dangerous wildlife, but she didn't want to hear that either. As someone who also rides, I've never understood how people don't get that horses are not bicycles. You can't just interchange them and have the same experience, same handling, same brakes. I partly blame movies where people just jump on a random horse and carry along on their merry way. There are a few jumpers in my band that if I just hopped on them, it would probably end with my head cracking on a pole. These are very delicate, sensitive, very large, very fast creatures, and sometimes very easily spooked creatures that you need to respect, especially as a beginner. Edits. Public service announcement on behalf of the half dozen or so cyclists who have politely clarified that bikes also have weight limits and restrictions and will bend and break if too much weight is added. Not the a-hole, and I say that as a plus-sized rider. An older, pony-sized horse is not an appropriate mount for a heavier beginner. Thank you. I would maybe consider it for a quick pony ride around the arena, but the only option for riding that I have are these mountainous trails. She even struggles a little with some of my lighter friends just because they're beginners and don't have the seat stability that she's used to from me. Yeah, an unbalanced rider is tough at any weight on an older horse. I wouldn't risk it even with a quick pony ride. I wouldn't budge on this issue even for a quick ride around the arena. Your friend is being selfish and clearly doesn't have the best interest of your horse at heart here. I think you should stand your ground, even if it's just to make a point. Not the a-hole. Horses are not cars, weight matters. Lol, even some cars with weak suspensions don't do too well with weight. Still, pretty unlikely that the car will need a vet, painkillers, or a gun to the head. Posted by user Sorry Teach Dang, titled, "Am I the a-hole for telling everyone our teacher has a dildo behind her at our Zoom meeting?" So basically, we were having a Zoom meeting with our new English teacher, a female in her mid-20s. She has started teaching at the beginning of the year, and I haven't really had a great relation with her. During the Zoom meeting, her camera fell down, so she had to fix it, and didn't really do a good job at that, and showed most of the room behind her. And boom! There at the corner of the bed, an at least 8-inch dildo. I just shut my camera before I started laughing, then texted our class's group chat and told them to look at that pink thing in the corner of the bed. Most just burst out laughing, while some girls were telling me I was a piece of crap and our teacher was confused as hell, until she looked behind her and almost screamed and said sorry like a billion times before disconnecting. I kinda feel like crap. An important edit: some guys took a screenshot and are using it as a meme. Edit 2: things are getting worse. She was posted on a very popular Instagram meme page of our area and got about 2,000 comments on that post. Damn, I screwed up. Edit 3: I don't think I'm gonna keep updating this because it got out of proportion and it's not on Reddit scale anymore. My teacher just did an Instagram live, and she, almost in a crying manner, is telling people to please stop spreading this, and she is getting harassed. My parents will be talking to a lawyer soon. People asked. It's just in case she presses charges for harassment or something. Edit 4: last update. This got absolutely out of hand, and you will probably be hearing about it in some online article. It's already on very popular meme pages with millions of followers. We asked the lawyer, and she said it was fine to keep the post up, and I'm in no legal trouble whatsoever, and let's hope my teacher isn't fired. Edit 5: have been told by the lawyer to remove this. You're the a-hole. You don't need to scream it out to the heavens. That's her private life, and you embarrassed her just for the sake of getting some of your friends to chuckle. You should apologize to her. OP definitely owes her an apology. Hopefully her career isn't impacted too much, but with high schoolers you never know. 2,000 comments on an Instagram post. Unfortunately, very likely that this is going to impact her career. Parents are going to be out with pitchforks soon. She'll probably lose her job over this. Majority of the time, if women teachers are seen as actual women and not nuded Barbie dolls, they get screwed over by the school. You're the a-hole. Honestly, teachers are human beings. She made a mistake. It was completely unnecessary to share it with the group chat. The screenshot and resulting meme could seriously impact her career. It really can. OP says he is 16, so we are likely dealing with high schoolers. This will get out and around the school. I can't see this not having an impact. You're the a-hole. Honestly, they are really strict with professionalism and the morality clauses with teachers. By pointing that out, you have probably caused the teacher to lose her job. This response needs to be more visible. She will lose her job. She is now the infamous dildo teacher. This is her new identity in the local community. When other teachers or students, parents, bring up her name, everyone's going to think of the dildo memes. That is her new professional image. School admin don't want to answer phone calls from parents who don't want this teacher around children because, oh my god, innocent Johnny saw that thing. Others might wonder if she's flirting with kids. Her presence in the school makes the district look unprofessional. Getting rid of her is very easy, especially if she's a newer teacher. Before a teacher is tenured, they work on a yearly contract, and at the end of the year, the principal is under no obligation to extend her contract. So they won't offer her another contract, and they don't have to justify why. If they fired her right now, there's paperwork involved, they'd have to document various reasons to justify it, but if they wait out to the end of the year, and this is May, they simply don't have to offer her a new contract, and it doesn't matter why. Posted by user Untradition, titled, "Am I the a-hole for not letting anyone have any more weddings on our property, even though it's tradition? My husband and I own this beautiful property just outside the city where lots of couples like getting married. Over the past 30 years since we inherited from family, we have hosted many weddings as well as other events as the family members who owned it before us did. We live in the city for our jobs, so we would go out there on the weekends for all the events. Our plan was to continue doing this for another year, then we would stop and both retire from our regular jobs and move on to the property. Since my job decided to make my work entirely online, we thought it would be the perfect time to move up our plans. My husband retired, I'm going to continue working for another year, and we're going to move into the house on the property. When the whole thing with the virus happened, we had 8 weddings scheduled. We of course refunded everyone's deposits and notified them that we would be closed for events. Since we've decided to go through with our plans, I notified them and put on our Facebook page that our venue was not going to be reopening. So far, we have gotten a barrage of messages and posts on Facebook with a lot of people upset. For example, one woman was very upset and talked about how her daughter was going to get married there this spring and how everyone in the family had gotten married there and how she was the only one that isn't going to be able to get married there now. A lot of people replied to her comments saying the same thing, that this property needs to stay open and that we are being selfish and ruining so many people's traditions by keeping it closed. We don't want to keep it open. It's just so much work for us. The property in question also isn't very big. So having a wedding here twice a month, which is our average, would be very disruptive. The place people get married is right outside the house, and the house itself was used for the wedding, and usually has people going in and out of it. We don't want all these people in our house once we are moved in. Edit, some people seem to be confused, so I'll just add that the 8 weddings were cancelled because of the virus. They were all during March, April, May, and the last one was supposed to be this upcoming weekend when everything was still closed. Update. You guys have definitely gotten my husband paranoid. Now he's placing security cameras in gates. I spent the day double checking that everywhere online said we were closed. I also ended up deleting the Facebook page and our other social media accounts. All we have up now is the website with the closed notice. I'm still getting some angry emails, but as soon as I get done talking with the people that want to buy the chairs and the other wedding stuff we have, I'm going to log off it. My husband and I are considering having the place open just for some people who want to get portraits and other pictures taken, but that's it. We're just not up for any more big parties. They said that we're being selfish and ruining so many people's traditions by keeping it closed. They are the selfish ones. All they care about is their own traditions, and they don't give a crap about you or your family, not the a-hole. Absolutely this. The level of entitlement is astounding. Absolutely not the a-hole, and happy near retirement OP. I was leaning to not the a-hole before that. I can absolutely understand why it would be upsetting to hear the venue is closing, even though they got a refund for the deposit. And I'm sure it's incredibly stressful trying to replan a wedding right now, with so many people's plans being upended at once. But taking it out on OP like that is so wrong. This is a generational event that is changing so many lives, and OP used it to change their business plans and move closer to retirement, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Cheers to all my millennials, living through our 3rd generation-defining event. Jesus. Soft, you're the a-hole, but for only one reason. The 8 that you did cancel should have had the option to reschedule when quarantine is lifted. Rescheduling the date is hard enough, but now they have to find a new venue on top of that. As for anyone who was not yet scheduled, they can deal with it. Traditions change, whether it's you who decides to shut down now, or whoever owns the property after you decide to. I don't think that OP is the a-hole for not offering to reschedule the 8 that had booked, but it would have been courteous and nice if they could have been accommodating. Finding a new venue on top of having to postpone everything must be mega stressful for them, and I can understand why they would be upset. The people who are upset about hypothetical future weddings that they may have wanted to take place there are just being a-holes though. Posted by user Throwaway Redditor 78, titled, "Am I the a-hole for telling a girl in my social circle that she's being a bully to the neckbeard in our group? I'm 21, quarantining with my university flatmates, 3 girls, all 20 years old, and 2 other guys that are 20 and 21. One of the guys, we'll call Sam, looks like the typical neckbeard. He's largely overweight, wears anime t-shirts, unkempt facial hair, and has spots. Oh, sounds like me. However, he only looks like the stereotype. He's not creepy or holier than thou. I've spent time with him and been to many parties with him. He just suffers from sometimes severe social anxiety and low self-esteem. Well, he went back home for something, and I was in the kitchen with the rest of the flatmates. One of the girls, we'll call Amy, immediately began roasting Sam by saying, "I'm so glad that ugly neckbeard is gone, and how she doesn't have to look at him anymore." Honestly, I immediately felt disgusted. I don't like bullies. I don't care where they're from or how they look like. I was once treated like that, and it isn't nice. I immediately snapped at Amy and said, "You're bullying him, and that's not cool." She looked at me shocked. I confronted her, and things went quiet. Later, my other male flatmate Henry said I was an a-hole for interrupting Amy, and that she was only joking around and having fun. I told him that he's complicit and should be ashamed, but I do wonder whether I was an a-hole for embarrassing her. Am I the a-hole? You are not the a-hole here, but it's worth double-checking that the other women don't feel like he is creepy. Men often don't notice creepy behaviors the way women do, especially since the creepy behaviors usually aren't directed at men. I've checked this before. He actually has a girlfriend who is into similar stuff he is into, and she is usually at parties with us. He's never one to show a lick of interest to other girls. He just suffers from extreme social anxiety, even in social situations. I've asked some girls I know what they think of him, and they just said he's just really quiet. Never had any girl tell me he's creepy, and these girls usually tell me about which creeps to stay away from. It definitely could be the case that some girls may see his extreme social anxiety, sweating, quietness, shuddering as creepy maybe. Either way, Amy has never commented on his behavior, just his looks. She usually makes inside comments about other people who are less good looking, and this time she chose Sam as her target. A lot of the time, neurodivergent behaviors, for instance, discomfort with making eye contact or having tics or stimming or info dumping, is seen as creepy. Oh god, I suck with info dumping. I'm just like, take all my words, here we go. Even when it's entirely harmless and just a little atypical. People are bad at judging threats, and often make hurtful judgments on very superficial things. Yes, unfortunately, people with anxiety get demonized, as if they didn't have it bad enough already. This only makes anxiety worse. It's a vicious cycle. This is important info, to be honest. I've experienced men in our friend groups being entirely oblivious to a mutual friend's creepy behavior towards women in the group because they just don't experience it or see it. Before this info, I was leaning to info and not the a-hole. This completely turns it into not the a-hole for me. Edit. I just want to point out that the additional info about her having made this into a habit in the OP's comment was added after I made this comment. Before the extra info, I thought maybe it was a singular defensive comment she's made. She's completely an A. Oh, okay. Posted by user ExpertYak8. Titled, "Am I the a-hole for not allowing my husband's dying niece to see my daughter one last time?" So this happened several months ago, but it's still causing drama in the family. My daughter, 3 female, who we'll call Emma, was the firstborn child into my husband's family in nearly 2 decades. My husband is much younger than his sisters, and we had our daughter on the older side. Her cousins on that side of the family range from college age to 30s, so instead of having 10 cousins, it's more like she has 10 additional aunts and uncles who want to dote on her. Which is nice, I suppose, but it's hard to make time for everyone, and we wind up with an overabundance of gifts at the holidays and such. So, one of my husband's nieces, who we'll call Sarah, who's 23, had suffered from anorexia for several years. We knew about this, but it didn't seem severe, and never affected the way she interacted with my daughter, so we allowed her to continue to see her. However, in late 2019, apparently she took a sudden turn for the worse. But she was sneaky about it, so no one realized the severity until she wound up in the hospital. Apparently, the doctors said it was rare for a case to worsen so quickly, and they would probably be able to save her life, but there was a moderate chance her heart would give out in the next week. Apparently, after being told this, she started making a list of people she wanted to see one last time, just in case, and my daughter was one of the highest on it, even though she'd only seen my daughter at family functions every month or two since she was born. My daughter loved all her cousins, including Sarah, but it's not like they were overly close. I understand that Sarah didn't choose to have anorexia, but she did make a choice to hide from her family and doctors that it was getting worse until it was too late, instead of getting help. I was not going to traumatize my daughter by exposing her to an emaciated woman hooked up to machines. Wow, that's bloody terrible. I want to use strong language, but Jesus Christ. I told Sarah's mother that there was absolutely no chance I would bring Emma to the hospital for a visit, even when she called begging several times. Sarah died about 3 days later. I didn't want Emma to know about what anorexia is at such a young age. I could have probably just said Sarah was very ill, but I was worried she'd figure it out in hindsight or something. I think that Sarah and her mother should have understood this, but no. Apparently, Sarah asked when my daughter would visit an hour before she died. She was surrounded by family and friends who were old enough to understand what was going on, but apparently that wasn't enough. Traumatizing my daughter was some sort of dying wish. Her mother told my husband and I to not bother to come to the funeral and is still giving us the cold shoulder. Reddit, am I the a-hole here, or is Sarah's mother just insane? The sad thing is, this is a very believably written story. I don't think that this is fake. I think this is someone that's just really dumb. There's obviously going to be people that have opinions that's like, I wouldn't expose my kid to this. That's fine. I understand where you're coming from there. My argument here is the way she's putting it out there is really, really patronizing towards the other family. Like, she has no empathy for them from the sounds of it. You're the a-hole. I was quibbling about it for a while because it makes sense that you'd want to protect your daughter, even though I disagree with your point of view on this. I really think it would have been a good lesson, if anything, for your daughter to see Sarah, a lesson in empathy, there we go, for one. But then I saw this. Traumatizing my daughter was some sort of dying wish. And, well, you are a huge a-hole for that. You are so unable to see another person's point of view that you want to vilify a dead woman for her attachment to your child. Then I reread and paid more attention, and this jumped out at me. Which is nice, I suppose, but it's hard to make time for everyone, and we wind up with an overabundance of gifts at the holidays and such. Seriously? It's nice, I suppose? Who complains about an overabundance of gifts and overabundance of love? It sounds like you're jealous of the possible attachment between your daughter and your husband's family, and you have this bitter and skeptical attitude about them all, and want to view them in the worst light possible. Bringing a 3-year-old to see someone who is near death, emaciated and hooked up to a tube/machine is a really horrible idea. Plus, the 3-year-old would not have been loving and cuddling. She would have screamed and ran out of the room. It would have been bad for everyone. To a 3-year-old, the world is both strange and not strange, depending on what their parents say. I've brought my 3-year-olds to see their grandparents at the hospital, hooked up on tubes and machines. They reacted just fine because I gave them a short explanation of how this is how people look in the hospital, where there are machines that help people. So no, most likely it wouldn't have been bad for anyone. In any case, there's such an attitude from OP about her husband's side of the family that I get a feeling this is about her issues, not her daughter's. It's too hard to predict how a child that young will react, despite what you say to them. It worked out fine for your kids, but my niece had a phobia about hospitals for years after visiting her grandma there, despite being prepared for it by her parents. Though I agree that OP is a dick for her attitude in general about the family, I wouldn't bring a child that young to visit someone that sick either. Not the a-hole. Your niece's family is grieving. Asking you for this was understandable. Punishing you for it is not. Not wanting your baby to see someone wasting away in a hospital bed is totally reasonable. I scrolled down to find this. Thank you. I'm a child psychologist, and Mum is totally in the right for not wanting to bring in her daughter, and the niece had a right to ask. This could have been communicated by Mum much more gently, but there's no need for a toddler to be around someone dying unless there's a close relationship there. Everyone is cuckoo in this thread. If her kid was 13, yeah, different story. But her daughter is 3. No a-holes here. Not the a-hole. Can't believe the judgments here. I mean, your general demeanor is a-hole-ish, but you were absolutely right about not bringing your 3-year-old to the hospital. Everyone is pulling anecdotal evidence out of their butts like that has any bearing on whether or not this would cause lasting harm. Sometimes the kid is fine, and sometimes the kid is traumatized for years over stuff like this. There is no level of preparedness that can guarantee one reaction or another. Everyone here seems super cavalier about your child's mental health, but you are not the a-hole for this. Posted by user ThrowRA44ET, titled, "Am I the a-hole for threatening to kick my sister and her children out during a global pandemic? My 20 female sister, 30 female, has 2 kids that are 5 and 7. She recently divorced her husband and is temporarily staying with me because she has nowhere else to go. She could move in with our parents, but for some reason she decided to stay with me for a few days. Few days turned into months because of the pandemic, and so here we are. I honestly don't mind. I love her and I love the kids. What I can't stand is her behavior. Bear with me now, this is going to sound very bizarre. My sister is very religious. She has a Facebook group, WhatsApp group, and an Instagram where she has about 5,000 followers. She's probably also on Reddit and many other social medias. Usually she's nice and sweet, but lately she's become somewhat crazy. She has these quote-unquote sessions with her kids every few days. These sessions last about half an hour. During these sessions, she teaches her kids about the LGBTQ community. Not good things, but she teaches them about how being gay is a sin and all of that. Being transgender is a disease, how to avoid getting infected, etc. She tells them to repeat words after her and then make a video and uploads it everywhere. Oh, geez, I feel bad for her kids. It's very, very bizarre. She gets a lot of likes on social media where like-minded people praise her and upload similar videos of them having these sessions with their kids. She's part of this group trying to lead the new generation to the right path. Her little daughter, who is 5, has the sentences memorized. Being gay is a sin, you will burn in hell, is her answer if you ask her, what do you think about gay people? The problem is, I'm bisexual. My sister conveniently forgets that. No, you're not. You will get over it when you meet the right person, is what she tells me when I mention it. This is my house. I will not tolerate her disrespecting me in my own home. I told her that as long as she stays in my house, eats my food, uses my things, she's not allowed to have these sessions in my living room. This led to a massive argument where she bragged about her followers, refused to listen to me, insulted me, and refused to apologize. I ended up threatening her. I told her she can't live here if she behaves this way, which made her cry. Now I'm the heartless, selfish a-hole in my family who threatened to kick her poor divorced sister and her little kids out in the middle of a global pandemic. I would obviously never do that to her. I only wanted her to stop being homophobic. Besides, she can always go to our parents. I have apologized countless times, even to my parents, but I'm being repeatedly called heartless. Am I the a-hole for wanting my sister to stop being homophobic? Am I the a-hole for threatening her to get her to stop? Edit, looks like this post summoned all the homophobes to one place. I get that it's a sin in your religion, but I don't fudging care. Can you please refrain from sending me insulting messages, telling me to accept it, tramp? Read and move on. You don't have to go out of your way to be so mean. To all the people who were nice, thank you so much. I appreciate the support I received. It's nice to know that at least some people don't think I'm heartless. Thank you guys. Not the a-hole. I wouldn't have apologized. Your sister needs help. Her children need help. Your sister is terrible. Yeah, my take on that is you set a precedent if you do apologize for that, if it's something that you don't actually feel the need to apologize for, because then they're just going to take advantage of that apology and demand more from you. If you're firm about your opinion from the get-go, if it's reasonable, I would argue this situation is reasonable. Then she doesn't need to apologize. She needs to say, it's my way or the highway. You're not using my living room. I'm sorry. Parents are right there. You're out the door. I don't agree with this. I'm sorry. Aha, I almost caught myself there. Agreed. OP isn't the a-hole here and shouldn't have apologized. But she would definitely be the a-hole if she keeps on tolerating the bigotry and hate. OP, as the only sane adult, black and white, you and your sister, it is your responsibility to not let her create an army of future hateful people, starting with your niece and nephew. Young minds are easy to fill with garbage, which your sister is doing. You will regret it the day you might get a girlfriend and your own niece and nephew whom you love to bits start throwing the rotten garbage in their mind through their mouth at you. Be wise and start countering your sister's sessions with your own. You can't compete against everybody, but at the least you can start with it at home. Rest of the world aside, please stop your own loved ones into becoming your own haters. This isn't a good idea right now. I agree that your kids need this sort of session, but if you try to take over parenting responsibilities and start contradicting their mother, you are weaponizing the kids against their mum. You aren't going to be able to deprogram them over the word of their own mother, especially at the ages of 5 to 7, and it will just cause a lot of damage to your relationship with them. The best thing OP can do is be kind and caring aunt, and should a future come to pass where the kids need a non-parent adult to talk to make herself available. If she makes herself come off as a wonderful human being and she starts dating a woman, it may be enough to make the kids reconsider their mum's teachings, even if it's not for another 15 years and they are both adults. Trying to intervene when the kids are this young is not going to work the way you or I would hope it could. Not the a-hole. Your sister is a hypocrite. I'm so tired of people just picking what sins to be offended by. Either way, if everyone thinks you are such an a-hole, then maybe it would be better if she went to stay with them. You are wonderful people to allow your sister to stay with you. You have every right to stand up for yourself. Agree with the hypocrisy. Isn't divorce prohibited? Exactly. Opie, tell her that you'll see her in hell for divorcing her husband. Not the a-hole, and I suggest that you stick to what you told her and throw her out if she doesn't stop insulting you in your own house. Ooh, Jesus. I think that's all I have to say for this one. I feel like I gave some good constructive advice, and a lot of people aren't going to be happy with it. A lot of people are going to be happy with it. Tell me what you thought of it down in the comments. Let's see what our outro Markee has to say today. G'day there guys, outro Markee here. Hope you enjoyed the episode as much as I enjoyed making it today. If you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you thought about it down below. Also, if you like memes, be sure to head on over to my second channel, Markee2. It should be one of the sexy Australian faces on screen, the one without the flag. It's my latest and greatest creation, and I hope you like it. Also, I'd like to give a huge shout out to my channel members and Patreon subscribers. You guys do so much good for me, and the support goes without saying, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I love you guys, and I appreciate all the help and support you provide me on this channel. Also, if you want to join the family, links are down in the description below, or click that join button next to the subscribe button. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed that one today. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!